7,180 pounds, an open range 3110 bunkhouse, which is living room super slide, bunkhouse slide out with what I call an eat and go dinette. It's a pet friendly carpetless floor plan, even within the slide out. 2 air conditioners, fireplace, outside kitchen, bath and a half, and a partridge and a pear tree. Basically, guys, what somebody did is they opened the 2017 open range book when the 2017s were still new, and they said, I want one of these with literally every option possible. That's essentially what this is right here. Then they just went out camping a couple times and just didn't work out the way that they planned. So, they're just not camping. You know, it's unfortunate. Doesn't happen often. It does happen a time or two. It's the first time it's happened this year. That being said, it's only early January, so. The good news is, it doesn't really look like you're inheriting someone else's problems. I mean, even the original owner's manuals and everything are still present. This is sharp. If you're looking for high-end, loaded, big private bunkhouse, well, guys, you can get one at a nice used price tag right here. Quick view over here in travel mode before we open up the slides. So right now, I've got the slides closed, and naturally everything looks, you know, pretty darn cramped. But the good news is this one actually maintains a surprising level of travel accessibility. One of the things they did there is they actually put some of your bigger drawers in the kitchen right here on the face side of the you know, kitchen peninsula. The other thing is, if you notice, they put the dinette on the far end of the slide. What that allows here is there's actually room to navigate through the slide area and get into the kitchen to be able to pack up the fridge and access most of the dinette storage. Well, really all the dinette storage. Now, the slide wall obviously comes pretty darn close to that wall right there. So the question becomes, can you get to the bathroom? Can you get to the rear bunks? Because getting to the front bedroom's no problem. And the short answer is, yeah, you can. You just don't do it from here. Remember that this is a dual entry model. There's a second entry door to that bathroom back there. So what you can do, you can walk in from the second bathroom door, you can get to all of your sort of middle cabinet pantry space, step inside, swing the door closed, and then you can load the kids' bags into the kids' area in the back. So, it maintains a pretty much full level of travel accessibility, which not all big double slide bunkhouse models really do offer. But chances are, if you're getting a big 2-slide bunkhouse like this, it's because you intend to use it more in this form than travel form. You want this thing all opened up. Normally there'd be a hide-to-bed sleeper sofa here. Us being an open range dealer, I remember how you could equip these very well from only a couple seasons ago. Whoever bought this swapped that out for the theater seat here, so Mom and Dad had a nice place to kick back. Because the thing is, on a drizzly, rainy day, the kids are going to hang out in that private rear room, because there is a sliding privacy door there, so you can just kind of shut them off and Mom and Dad get a little bit of sanity space. And on a rainy day, Mom and Dad are going to tend to occupy the cabin. And a lot of people ask, why is it in a bunkhouse the kids tend to get the slide before Mom and Dad? And the answer is because you own the whole trailer. You're letting them use the rear room. So, you know, you're winning in the push-pull of things, and that's why I think most bunkhouses focus on living room comfort over bedroom comfort, because you're probably not going to retreat to your bedroom on a rainy day and, I don't know, hide from the kids effectively. Maybe you got a migraine or something you need to lay down, but you don't need a bed slide out to do that. Anyway, kind of off topic. Let's get back on the task at hand. All the windows open here, including the slide side windows. I'll probably reiterate that when we go outside, but I think it's a key point to get that nice cross breeze. And you can see there are not scars, scabs, blemishes, dings and bangs around this thing. The upholstery is in great shape. I mean, other than the fact that it's a 2017, and we've been sold out of 2017s for, like, 2 years now, this thing looks new. I mean, it's in amazing condition. The biggest thing is they just really didn't use it. Now, here's a couple key points I want to zero in on. If you look down in the slide out, you can see that it is carpetless. Open Range is the industry's exclusive producer of carpetless floor flush slides. They have been that way for several years now. I imagine there's a patent involved, so other brands don't want to pay them a royalty to do it. What that means is that this is much easier to keep clean, it's pet friendly, and you might have also noticed how there's not heat vents in the floor, so again, a little notch in the belt of keeping this thing clean. In the sort of, I guess call it hallway area, you've got a very large extra closet or pantry, so that can be kid space, that can be food, that can be towels, clothes, whatever you need it to be. And there is full storage below the dinette. You can see the doors to make easy access of that right there. The ceiling is vaulted, which gives this thing a nice big open feel. I always thought aesthetically the vaulted ceilings are prettier to look at. I think a taller linear ceiling may be slightly more functional in certain regards, but the way that Open Range has done their work here, everything makes sense. In the kitchen, you do have great counter space. You also have an 8 cubic foot fridge freezer. Factor that in with the, roughly 3.7 cubic foot fridge outside. And this thing has nearly 12 cubic foot of total cold storage between inside and outside. Now, we saw in travel mode how those drawers are right here on the kitchen peninsula face side, but note how much space sticks out past the sink. There is legit good prep space here, and you notice how there's legit good prep space to the right of it. So the sink is kind of on an angle. A lot of times when you run into these angled sinks, you just don't get good counter space, and you don't see that being the case here. There's room behind it, room beside it, and you get to all of it easily without having to reach over stuff, with plenty of drawers here, including a full drawer below the oven. That's always been one of those Open Range things. They have a full drawer under the oven. Another thing to note, whether it's those countertops, whether it's this tabletop, everything has a pressed membrane sealed edge counter on it. So what that means is that water can't seep into and penetrate there. So if you make the jar of Kool-Aid and one of the kiddos knocks it over, no sweat. Foot flush stool here. And another thing I want to draw your attention to is up top we have a Max Air vent fan. Not only that, though, not only do we have the bigger, whole house supporting fan for superior airflow, but they also included on this the wall controller, kind of like one of their fifth wheels. And that's one of the things I always liked on the Open Ranges, are the consistencies with their fifth wheels. The bath area over here, it's not really a small sink, it's actually quite deep. You can get big adult hands in there. They just gave it an extra deep countertop, which is why I'm standing beside it, not in front of it, so you can kind of gauge that scope and depth. The only real defect I've noticed with this, guys, if I'm going to be ultra picky, because I've always said I don't really believe in a used RV ever being a 10, with nearly maybe one exception in my career, the only thing I can say is that the shower head mount had been replaced for whatever reason, it had been taken down, but it hadn't actually been replaced. That being said, guys, that's something we're going to take care of. I've just shot this video before we got to it, so again, another feather in the cap of virtually new. And another neat detail thing, you can see how the bathroom door actually locks. You'd be surprised how many campers don't. Now, we do have a sliding privacy door back here in the bunkhouse, and it's this little, what I call eat-and-go dinette configuration here that I think takes this one over the top in the bunk area, because it has things that take it over the top in every room. So, like a lot of campers, you've got the overhead bunk, and the dinette below can fold into a sleeper, but this also has a definitive daytime mode about it. As we see here, that bunk can flip up, and it locks on both sides to give it strength and stability in the up position in case one of the kids grabs it. You don't want them ripping it out of the wall. And down here, since the dinette's in the slide, this is a full 4-person dinette like you find in most travel trailers. So this RV, in a sense, has 2 dinettes and all the dining space in the world. You got a big family and you want to feed everybody at the same time, you can. Notice it's still the same carpetless setup in here. There's still storage below the benches. But speaking of bunkhouse storage, this is really where they killed it in the bunkhouse in terms of storage. This huge dresser drawer array and the dual hanging closets with the separate shelf above. You've got plenty of room for kid stuff in here. Anyone that camps with kids knows that they just take up so much space. Plus, we've got the ladder on the side, so folks with rotator cuff surgery, you don't have to hurt yourself heaving your kids into the upper bunk. And this upper bunk is a little bit bigger, what I call a big kid bunk. It's a little bit wider. Now, here's one of the main things. This is a 50 amp service RV, and it does have a factory installed second air conditioner. So it does have maximum cooling capacity in this thing, and they're both tied into the same centralized ducting. So if you want to breathe icicles, guys, you pretty much can breathe icicles in this one. Let me turn off some lights and save a little juice. Moving forward, we've pretty much killed the living room already, so let's take a look at the entertainment center and those slide side windows. Here's a good look at the other one that we didn't get a peek at yet. All the original factory electronics. I saw the original owner's manual sitting over there on the countertop. Those are good signs to me of something that hasn't been beat up. It was used a little. It just wasn't abused. It just wasn't their thing, unfortunately. And this is another upgrade that was available only for a short time. So in a sense, this is kind of a limited edition. They no longer offer this hearth and fireplace combo here. That was something only available for a brief period in the 2017 season. So it does have that electric space heater that we call a fireplace. On the left side of that, you can see the remote controls are actually like in a nice little Velcro mount position. So everything is in its little place. And I didn't do any of this. The little Velcroed stuff, the way that the TV is strapped down. You might have noticed how the theater seat has the traveling strap on it. I didn't do any of that. That was all the previous owners doing. They took care of this thing the right way. So even though they didn't use it, they also didn't neglect it. And that's a big key feature also. Little neat thing. Little light switch for the bedroom ceiling lights. Now they're flickering a little bit because I got a bad connection on my battery, and my battery's getting a little bit dead on me, guys, so keep that in mind. Like as I walk around a little, I've noticed lights are flickering. I must have one of the wires on the hookup to my battery box is maybe just kind of a little off. I'm not sure. Anyway, up front here, a couple things. You've got full hanging closets on both sides. Both sides of the bed have their own dresser. Both sides of the bed have very CPAP and phone charger and, electric blanket friendly outlets right up front there. And this side right here has a laundry hamper. If you want to toss yesterday's clothes down that hole, you can just leave a wastebasket down there, open the front pass-through compartment, grab your clothes when you get home, do some laundry. Now this is a very interesting thing. They actually don't do this anymore, but what they do here, what you're seeing here, we are looking at a Camp Queen to True Queen conversion bed. They let you sort of choose your own adventure. What we have in position currently is the shorter Camp Queen, 74 inches long by 60 inches wide. And that gives us room to walk around the bed. A lot of people like that. Or, if you're taller, you can use that little 6-inch spacer block, and you can turn this into a 60 by 80 True Queen. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, but you're going to feel that crease. No, you're not. It's going to be under your pillow. You're never going to know it's there. The other thing is, guys, because they built it with enough room for an 80-inch bed, you could just swap out the Camp Queen for a True Queen that will just come right up next to these sliding pocket privacy doors right here, and you can have a longer queen mattress of your choice. So what they did here is they really let you kind of sleep, camp, and use this thing 100 different ways, really all within the same trip, within the same day. You just sort of do it how you please. The trend of clean and loaded continues right outside, and it starts right up front here. If you peek down below the skirt line, you can actually see the power stabilizer jacks just creeping and peeking at us right there. It says 4-corner push-button power stabilizer jacks, power awning with easy tilt and built-in awning speakers, power tongue jack. You can see how the front pass-through here, it's not all scarred up, dinged up, eaten up, nice and clean. The nose cap has little LED accent light right above the hitch there. So not only can it just kind of be visibly pleasing, a little aesthetic accent, but it can actually also help with like late night hitching. It doubles as something of a docking light. So I love it in the RV business anytime they find a way to make one thing do two things. 30-pound propane bottles versus 20s like you find on most lightweights. Another thing that separates this from most lightweights is it does have a heavier insulation package than most. Open Range's Ultralight series has been found to be able to maintain 0-degree functionality without pipe freezing for up to a 5-hour window. And that throws some people off sometimes why we throw that 5-hour caveat on there. And that's not true of all trailers. That's just true of these. That's what they've found. And the thing to remember, guys, is it's got to stay 0 degrees for an extended period to get there. So, you know, if it's in your 20s, mid-teens, this thing's going to be fine. It's going to have to be hard, frozen, cold wind chill stuff to knock this one out of its functionality range. All the windows slide open for airflow, including the slide side windows to give you excellent, breeze, visibility, all those good things. In the central area here, you'll see your rear power stabilizer jack button. There we go. As well as the 17.8 gallon per hour water heater. Basically what that means is this has a gas side and a electric side to the water heater, and it can activate them both for simultaneous fast recharge. It has a backup camera on it as well. It's another of those factory things where they went through and, like I said, they just clicked all the options and loaded this thing up, including also a rear 2-inch receiver hitch. So if you want to throw bike racks or something on the back here, you are good to go without ever worried about overloading that bumper. Between the ladder and the spare tire, you see that vertical rectangular box. That is a simple fresh water fill or, you know, hookup station, as well as your cable station. Handy little spot right there to kind of just keep things kind of enclosed and cleared off. We'll take a step up onto the roof in a minute. One of the things I want to point out, though, while we're back here is the different corner aluminum molding trim that they have on here versus you know, plastic screw trim. Open Range is using a formed metal extrusion. That's a fancy way of saying a pre-bent aluminum here. So it's something that's a lot more resistant to heat expansion and contraction. It tends to hold its shape a little bit better. Full-size outside kitchen. It does have TV hookups out here. You got your cabinets for your little spice rubs, storage, and whatnot. Larger outside refrigerator and a real sink with a real drain into a holding tank as opposed to a dog dish. Extra little outlets for appliances. You got your little burner cooktop on the side here. There is hookups on the bumper for an RVQ grill if you're so inclined, and you can see you've got double drawers out here, which is nice. And you might also notice that you have a galvanized rolled steel countertop, which is all fancy talk for the fact that this is a not a wooden counter that can't sponge and soak water and, you know, shrink and expand when exposed to weathering. It's also far more heat resistant. So God forbid you get a really hot pan, you got to set it down quick because it's burning your fingertips. It's not going to burn the top of that countertop. Whew! Finally got it out there. It's cold. My tongue's getting froze up and tied. Big power awning. And note that it clears both entry doors, which I think is a neat thing. So on a drizzly day, you've got all kinds of room in the middle here for your picnic table. And, you know, you never really get, like, spritzed on because that awning arm is directly next to the outside kitchen. So if you are cooking outside, even though you're spending all day inside in the weather, no big deal. Hop in, hop out. You can't really see it because somebody actually took the yellow Equiflex wheel or suspension chuck in between the tires and painted it black. But this does have a rubberized shock dampening Equiflex suspension system. I really can't talk, can I? Westlake radials, keeping you on the road. No irregular wear patterns because they really didn't get a lot of wear. You might have noticed how we have the aluminum plank steps. These are easier to see at night, and they're not slippery as compared to black steel steps. Kind of like, think of like an aluminum boat deck, ladies and gentlemen. They don't corrode, and they're lighter weight, and the little groove tracks in those steps kind of shunt water away so that you always have a good grip with your shoes or slippers or bare feet or whatever it is, you know, you're wearing when you're camping, wherever you happen to be calling home that night. Because when you have an RV, home is where you park it, am I right? And beyond maybe a little bit of storage dust, and even then, a little, the roof up here, the membrane, the seals, everything looks about as close to factory fresh as you're going to find on a used RV. You can see that the PVC roof membrane on this doing its job of keeping whiter, brighter, lighter. It helps with UV reflectivity. You can also see how these seals are not drying up. They're not micro fissuring. They're not in need of spot treatments or anything like that. This is pretty close to new for a used camper, guys. They're even using the same King Jack antenna system here that you typically find more commonly on fifth wheels, but a couple more premier level trailers like this, like our Winnebagos, tend to use these. They get better range and reception, and you don't have to crank them up and down. You just point them in the direction you want, you hit scan, and you're done. So, it just really couldn't get much simpler. And that's it, guys. It's a nearly new trailer at a used price tag. Now, I know that nearly new does mean used, but the fact is you're not inheriting someone else's poor ownership. You're not inheriting someone else's hiccups and scars on the cabinetry. They went camping. It just didn't work out for them, and sometimes that happens. It's not common, but it does happen. And the good news is that means that you get a heck of a deal on a pretty much new trailer. And these bath-and-a-half dual-side bunkhouses like this, Passport came out with one first, then Open Range pretty much copied the layout into what we see here after. They're very uncommon. This is the first I've ever seen in the used RV market. So I probably don't expect it to last long, especially one like this, where basically somebody added all of the options to it, which, they paid extra for that. But in the used RV market, a lot of those options don't carry additional value. So you're getting a lot of trailer per dollar here. If that sounds good, give us a call. And obviously, whether it's this one, that one, or the other one, we've only got about 500 ones to look at here. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.